nggak ada apa-apa lagi. Sepeda motor, anak, rumah hancur semuanya. Waktu itu baju satu di badan, kami jalan ke situ. Lain nggak ada apa-apa, di sini bersih semuanya. Airnya begitu dahsyat kan? Beginilah cerita air tsunami-nya saya.
Bang, saya perlu sebelah kantor ya.
Yuk. This community was living near the seawater conversion plant donated by the Kingdom of Kuwait. Despite the sophisticated technology, this plant was unable to be operated due to high cost of operation.
This community has to organise their own water collection. This makes us question what kind of an intervention is needed after a disaster. Aceh was changing too. Finally, the Memorandum of Understanding came through. The Free Aceh movement signed a peace agreement with the Indonesian government. This was a big milestone toward peace. The conflict that went on for 30 years finally ended. Weapons were destroyed and the gum that lived on the mountain were invited back into the community.
This time around, I finally got through to the agency. I visited their projects in various areas. I did a field visit with Red Cross with their shelter projects and into the orphanage.
Bendy decided to volunteer with a few aid organisations rather than staying with one organisation. He crossed the water from river to the sea with his CRS, the Catholic Relief Services, which handle the livelihood and construction on Aceh Island.
This island was completely dependent on Banda Aceh for supply. They could not sustain their own needs and consumption in life. Their construction materials were all transported from Banda Aceh, even sold for cooking. There are many aspects of life could be developed here.
Rumah-rumah di sini hancur habis ini. Satu pun nggak tersisa.
He felt that the aid organisation had reached out to people and began to work. He went with another aid organisation called Church World Services and interviewed fishermen and small shop owners in Lung that had problems in keeping their fish fresh.
This problem in Lung was possible for design intervention since the fishermen's need could not be met because it was way too expensive to build ice factory. Many organizations started to respond, and later I spoke to a local organization that recycled vegetable waste from markets to become compost.
Itu difermentasi. Ya. Tapi itu kan udah agak itu tidak lagi membawa gas tuh. Itu digiling kembali. Habis digiling kembali terus nanti baru dibawa ke sana ke dalam gudang ini baru diayak. Habis diayak baru dikarungkan kembali sampai itulah terjadi hasil produksi.
Itu ya. Okay. There it seems to be a potential for producing energy from biomass, and possibly more if they could recycle other kind of waste too. From these local organizations called Yi2, I also found a dying profession for clay crafter, and I was looking to see if there was anything I could do by combining waste recycling strategy with craft. These are some of the situations that I found in Banda Aceh. There are much more issues. These are only some of the entry points to design in disaster. What I learned from this fieldwork is that design in a disaster zone is a serious matter. What we do can directly contribute to the betterment or to the destruction of somebody's quality of life. Many projects that began met their intended objective but failed to solve the problem. It met the lack but not the underlying need. I started this journey to answer if design could help in the disaster, and I think working closely with the community is more likely the answer. The sense of belonging to an activity or a project does contribute to the overall success and the sustainability of the project.
Malah kaya apa pun tidak mati
It seems that in a disaster, it is not about how to start the project or how to do the project, but what kind of project should really be started. Working in the disaster area was also difficult. Sometimes it worked out and we found something worth doing. Other times, things just didn't come together. Design and the designer in disasters can partake in community development schemes with a different paradigm and a new method than what current international development strategies have.
This is not for the sake of proposing something different. This is to put the welfare of the community first. And I see the new approach to include the current emergency strategy, which is already efficient, combined with the long-term, community-oriented post-disaster reconstruction programs. Furthermore, we still need appropriate financial management in a disaster, since budgets and time constraints are likely to pressure the decision-making process in a disaster. I think being a designer satisfied my curiosity of what life is. At the beginning, I knew nothing about fieldwork, nothing about social movement, nor did I care. What I learned is that we don't have to know and like what we do at first, before we do it. The paradox and the things on the